Hello, and welcome to the Young Inventors of Northern New England, the U.S. Nationals 2020. This is a webinar on the registration process for the 2020 U.S. Nationals for the Northern New England Regional Delegation. My name is Tina White, and I am the director of the Young Inventors Program of Northern New England. And I just first of all want to congratulate all of our inventors who participated in the program at any level, but particularly those of you who are here today because you were invited to represent New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Vermont, our Northern New England region, at the 2020 U.S. National Invention Convention this year. And that's quite an accomplishment. Your efforts, your innovative designs, your ideas on how to solve problems and how to make our communities, our neighborhoods, our world a better place have gotten you to this point. And so I just wanted to give a really big congratulations to all of you for being here today. And we're really excited that you're representing us. Also with me today is my colleague, Sarah Monroe. Sarah is the Communications Director for the Academy of Applied Science, the organization who administers the Young Inventors Program. Sarah, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I work with Tina on the Young Inventors Program and also the communications for the Academy. So I'm that person who set up all of your Google Drives so you could compete in the Northern New England Invention Convention. And I'm producing some videos so everybody can see your great work. And just want to second Tina's thoughts about congratulating you, because it's really hard to come up with a good idea and test it and present it. So congratulations for getting this far and for taking the next steps to present your ideas on a national stage.
Yes. And before we move on, I do have to just say how much I appreciate Sarah and the work she does, especially for our regional invention convention. She does so much work, like putting together Google Drives, putting together all these presentations and all the graphics and the website and all the things that you see that put our name out there. That's because of Sarah. So, and I think a lot of times she is behind the scenes and doesn't get the credit. So I want to make sure that we all give Sarah a big round of applause too. All right, great. Well, we'll move on. Like I said, this is a chance for you all to ask questions, so please feel free at any time to let us know what your questions are, what you're thinking, because this is to help you prepare your registration and submitting your project for the U.S. Nationals. So the Invention Convention U.S. Nationals is sponsored by Invention Convention Worldwide, a partner of the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation, and also supported by Raytheon. And, or is it Regeneron? I'm sorry. Sarah, Regeneron?
Regeneron.
Regeneron. I always confuse those. So Regeneron. And so the Invention Convention U.S. Nationals brings together over 500 young inventors from around the world. So it's not just the U.S., but it is around the world right now, to bring in your ideas and your inventions and to kind of present them on one big national stage. And there are invention programs like the Young Inventors Program all across the country. So in states like Idaho, Ohio, California, Florida, Tennessee, and then also in cities like Chicago and in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There are places kind of all over that are doing similar things, and so all of you are coming together to present. As you probably know, in most years, all of you would have been invited to present at the Henry Ford Museum, which is where the national event usually takes place. And so you all get to go together and meet these inventors from all over the country and other countries such as Mexico, Colombia, the Ukraine, and other, Singapore, are some of the ones, China are some of the ones that participate. And this year we'll be doing this all virtually. But it's a great opportunity. Judges are coming from all over the world. They are inventors themselves. They work for innovative and technology-driven companies and corporations, and they're educators, and they're just people who really support what this program does and support you in your pursuit of STEM and of learning and of also working to solve problems. So again, today we're going to just focus on the registration process and the competition overview. Luckily, and this was done with a lot of intention and working with the folks at Invention Convention Worldwide, a lot of the requirements and the things that we did to run our regional Invention Convention over the past couple of weeks are in a line and kind of meet the same standards and requirements that are required at U.S. Nationals. So really, there's not a whole lot more you need to do unless you want to do a little bit more. If you want to change something about your project and your submission that you did at regionals, you are welcome to do that. You are welcome to make a few changes. You have until May 27th, which is next week, to do that. But everything you did for us meets the requirements, so you're good to go and just submit everything the same way back for the U.S. Nationals. But we will go over the competition. The competition, the U.S. Nationals has also made some adjustments to their normal rules and requirements, so that if you have participated before, you may notice things may not be the same as they were last year or the year before. And that's because they wanted to make sure that they were accommodating and mindful of the situation that we're all in right now, being at home and not being in schools. And then we'll talk about teams. We have quite a few of you who work together in partners as a team. So we will go over a few little things on how to make sure that you register correctly as a team, so that everybody gets credit, and kind of it helps make it easier for Invention Convention Worldwide to manage the way they're getting your projects. And then, of course, question and answer. We'll have time at the end, but please stop at any time if you have questions. Okay, so we're going to start with the very first thing, which is registration. So by this point, all of you should have received an email with your official invitation from Invention Convention Worldwide that came to you, I believe, over the weekend on Sunday afternoon. And it has the link for registration as well as all of the details and the information. Some of that we'll go over today, but you should all have that at home. If you don't or haven't received that email, please send me an email later this afternoon or tonight to let me know. We just want to make sure, but I think all of you have received that. The registration system, you do need to register separately and independently. This is different from what you did to register for our regional event. So you need to register for the national event. And they use a program called Z-Fairs. And that's their online registration system. So everything you do and submit will be done using this thing called Z-Fairs. There is a registration fee of $25 to participate in the National Invention Convention this year. So as you do the registration, it will show you how you can do an online payment or make payment. If you have any questions or concerns about payments, just let me know. We're here to support you. We work very closely. I'm on the phone and emailing people from Invention Convention Worldwide all the time, so we can easily get your questions answered and make sure we're able to help you through that. So if there's any questions regarding registration, please don't hesitate to ask. And then the last piece of registration will be kind of once you fill out your basic information, we'll also be submitting your projects. And again, we tried to make our regional registration and the submission process as similar as we could to how the national competition was going to do that. So again, you'll be uploading and sending photos, videos, and some documents as you in order to submit your presentation. And we'll talk about the different things, but you'll submit your video and a prototype, and then you have the option to submit pictures of your display board and of your invention log. And again, those two things are optional, and we'll talk about that later today. Team registrations, you'll all use ZFairs, but we'll go over that. Each team member must register separately, pay their own registration fee. And then again, we'll talk about the process for team registering in this presentation, but it's very similar to those who are working alone. And the biggest thing to remember is the deadline, May 27th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I recommend that you try to get your things in by May 25th or 26th, because inevitably a lot of people put things off or want to work on their projects to the last minute, and everyone tries to register on the 27th, and the system can't take all those people registering from all over the world, and sometimes there crashes or there glitches, and it just causes a lot of stress and anxiety. So if you can, try and register early. It makes it easier for everyone. So like I said, the registration link that you got in the email from Invention Convention Worldwide will take you to a page that looks like this. So you should see this, and it gives you all the directions and everything that you need to do in order to register. Okay, I do want to note where the little arrows are here on my screen. The email that you want to enter should be your parent or guardian's email, because all communication from Invention Convention Worldwide will come through that email. So they really are looking for your parent or guardian, the adult who's kind of supporting you in this. It's their email. If you have your own personal email for school or that you like to use, you're going to use your parent's email. And your parent, you want to make sure your parents are checking their email regularly and checking their spam and junk mailboxes, because sometimes these messages that come end up getting filtered into those places. So you just want to make sure you're checking, because any communication, if you're missing anything, will come from Invention Convention Worldwide. It will not come from our program, from the Young Inventors program. They are managing the registrations. So just make sure that you're checking. And we're here to support you if you have questions, but you want to make sure you're checking, because anything they need, they'll send an email to ask for it or to let you know. Okay, and then the other one to note is that if you are part of a team and you are the first team member to register, you will receive an email that you will then share with your team member with a project number. So each team will be given one number, and that's kind of how they're going to figure out who's together in a team and put projects into kind of one folder, just like we did for our regional, and you had a shared Google folder with your teammate. It's the same idea. So you're going to get the first person to register is going to get a code. You're going to share that with your teammate, and your teammate's going to enter that code, and that's how they're going to know to link your registrations together as a project. Okay, great. All right, so some of this I just talked about, but the team registration. Again, all team members should register independently. The first one of you to register will get a code or get an email back with a code. You're going to share that with your teammate so that then they can register and use that same code. Okay. Both in our case, I think our teams are only two partners. We didn't have any teams greater than 2 people. So for teams, you and your partner can just will both be able to change things and have access to your project when you've submitted it. So you both can do that. Just like we did for our regional, If you are not able to get together to make a video, which we understand because of social distancing and kind of what's going on, you may not be able to do that. It's fine this year if just one of you presents the video. Just make sure you've acknowledged your teammate in the video. Okay, but or if you have a way that you can share and do a video together, which some of you were able to do, that's fine too. So both of those are allowed. The biggest thing is, though, each of you must submit the same video. So if you have a couple of different versions or a couple of different takes, make sure that you're coordinating, that you're each submitting the same copy of the video when you upload for your project. Are there any questions so far?
Yes, there are.
Great. Let's stop here.
Sure. So Griffin has a question. Is the registration form where I submit our video and all of the invention related things, or do we register with our biographical information and submit our competition items in a separate form after?
Griffin, everything should be done on zFair. So as you move through the registration, there will be instructions on how to submit the different parts of your project, your video, any photos you have, if you're going to submit your display board, if you're going to do your invention log, all of that is in that same registration page. And it's one of those types of registrations where you don't have to do it all at once. You know, if you start an account and you fill out some of the information and then you need to take a break or you want to do some other things and you're not going to work on it till tomorrow, you can save it and then log back in tomorrow and pick up where you left off. So you don't have to do it all in one sitting, but everything will go all through zFairs, and there'll be different ways and prompts to show you how to upload, how to provide links and that sort of thing.
Great. And Megan asked, I started registering, but it won't let me go past the page where you need to post your video link to payment. It says that you need to paste the video link before moving on. I assume that Megan is all set until we paste the link once she's recorded her video, and we'll be able to pay after moving on from that page.
I think that that's true. I think that there's some parts of the system that's just the way the program, the software is set up, that you can't move on to payment until you've uploaded your projects. So, and I think that that's partially to just to protect you in case something happens and you end up not completing, that you haven't paid and then have to go back and do reimbursements and things like that later on. So, see what happens, and that's not to rush you in putting your video in, but when you put your video in, if you're still having trouble moving past that point, definitely let me know or reach out to Invention Convention Worldwide. I know they've posted kind of how to contact them with questions. You can contact either one of us if you're still having trouble. But that is I think the way the system's set up, that you won't be able to finish and complete and pay until you've done all the pieces.
Okay, next question. We've got a few questions still.
Sure.
Does the video have to be posted to a YouTube channel so both team members could use that link? Is a question from Hillary.
I think that they encourage the use of YouTube. I think they will take videos differently, but they are encouraging the use of YouTube. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, and some of the video pitch requirements specifically. But YouTube, it allows them to more easily submit to judges and allow people to view it in a secured way.
Right, and we can certainly help you with that as well. We can post things unlisted to our YouTube channel
Yes.
as well. Ella's question, do both team members need to submit all materials, pictures, video, etc., or just one team member and the other person just links to the other?
I think they have asked that each person that each team member does a registration and the video, but teams only need to submit one logbook if you choose to submit your invention log, and we'll talk about that, why that's an optional part of the competition this year. And the display board is also optional. So as a team, you only need to submit one of those, but both of you need to submit the video.
Okay. Griffin asks, will we need to answer any short answer questions during the submission?
Not that I'm aware of. And if you want to know the truth, Griffin, I don't have access to the registration. And I can't register because I'm not an inventor. But I don't think that there are any other questions. I think that they will ask you to upload a photo of yourself so that they have that and to go along with your information that they plan to use for the award ceremony presentation. But I don't think you should. I'm not aware of any like other types of questions other than project related.
There might be a question to briefly describe your video or your invention.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think that's no quizzes.
Yes, no quizzes, and not asking about, I don't even think there'll be written questions about how you came up with your idea. I think all of that you say in your video presentation, that's included in the video. But you may need to do a short description. And again, that's for judges to see and for the award ceremony purposes and awards purposes, only a brief description, which is kind of similar to what we did in our regional registration.
Right. Amelia asks, is it better for me to make a brand new video and submit new
We're
photos?
going to talk about that, Amelia.
Okay.
So questions specific to videos, logbooks, and display boards, we're going to get to. So if I can ask you to kind of hold on that one, and if I still haven't answered your question sufficiently, let me know in a little bit.
Sure.
I just don't want to jump ahead too far because then I'll forget what I've said.
And then Ella asks, should the photo be of the team if we have one or the individual?
Photos need to be of individuals. So you'll upload a photo in your own individual registration, Ella. That's a great question. Again, I think they just want a photo of every single inventor so that they have them for the award ceremony and some other things that they may do.
That's it for right now.
Fantastic. So great questions, and I'm going to keep probably answering some of the ones that are going to pop up in your head. So we'll keep going, and then I'll stop in a little bit, and we'll do this again. But if something's pressing, stop me in the middle. That's fine. I like being interrupted. All right. So the virtual competition. All inventors must submit a video and a prototype. The prototype can be working or non-working. Okay, and that's the same as what you did for our regional competition. So I'm pretty confident that everyone has a prototype, a model, or even a design. So we understand that some of you may have left a model at school and were never able to go back and get it, or you might not have a model, but at least a drawing, a picture, a photograph of what you did needs to be included with your video in your submission. That is the minimal requirement in order to participate and to compete. All of you, I think, have that because that was the same requirement that we had at our regional. So I don't think that there should be any questions there, but if there are, definitely stop and ask.
Just to clarify, the prototype are photos and drawings, not mailing the actual item.
Correct. It's the same. You'll be sending a picture and putting that into your registration of your model or your design.
Someone asks, if our invention works, will it benefit us?
I don't think that no, because they have said that it's non-working or working. I think it helps to see, certainly, but they are not scoring those that work versus those that don't work any higher necessarily. And I'll show you where you can look at all the criteria, a rubric, which is kind of the different points that each judge is going to be scoring on and how they're supposed to score. That's published and made clear, and it's up on the website for everyone to see. So you can read through that later, and I encourage you to do that. And I'll give you that website at the end. So you can see exactly what judges are asked to look for when they look at every project. And judges go through a pretty rigorous training. So all judges have received the same instructions and same information, and they all use the same standards to judge all of these projects. And the judges at our regional did something similar too. They went through a training and they had a certain score sheet that they needed to use. Okay, so you're going to submit the video and the prototype, and that's required. So here are some examples of submissions, and some of these came from you all. So you can see there's some different ones. Sometimes a person, the inventor, is as in part showing how the design works. Another option is a drawing that's either in your logbook or part of your presentation. Can be drawings of how your design and how it's supposed to work. A labeled picture can also be used. Labeling is really good to pick out, to point out different aspects, different parts, how they work, why they're used, what materials they might be used in making your design. So labeling can be helpful depending on the type of design you have. A picture of a finished product. Here we have the nourishing spoon at the bottom, and that's kind of a picture of the finished product. We also had kind of a computer-based project. We have some of those that deal with some programming and the use of Arduino or Raspberry Pi, so you can show your setup as well. These are the types of just examples of being able to share your prototype and your model and design as a submission. Okay. Your video pitch. Again, the rules and requirements for the video pitch for the U.S. Nationals are exactly the same as what we had for our regional. So all of you meet that requirement. We already know that. It needs to be up to 6 minutes. It's okay if you're less. There's no rule that says you have to use all 6 minutes. So use what you feel you need. Oh no. Sorry, there we go. Use what you feel you need to best explain and thoroughly explain your project. It must be continuous and no editing or production done to it. Again, that was a requirement that we had too. So it needs to be a one-take video. You can retake it as many times as you want. You can practice it as many times as you want, but you can't kind of cut and paste different parts together to make one video. All right. You may use note cards as prompts. It is discouraged. We don't encourage you to use a full script. It is allowed, but we don't encourage it. So you want to be looking at the camera. I think most of you did that for your regional. I mean, all of the things that you submitted for your regional video definitely meet the requirements, and they were good, strong presentations. That's partially what got you to where you are. So you should feel really confident about what you have. For those of you who are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, you may have an adult prompt you with some questions from the background. That is allowed. Okay, and I will show you, I'll be sending out to all of you an email from me probably by the end of the week that will have the criteria documents for you and links to that as well on the Invention Convention Worldwide website. So you can always look at those to see what are they exactly scoring on? How many points do you get for this part or that part? Okay, video pitch uploading. So similar to maybe what you did to our Google folder, you'll be uploading your video directly into a place on the ZFairs registration. So you'll need to have a link and that you'll create, they encourage the use of YouTube. Saving your video to YouTube. You want to make sure that your link is unlisted or that it's public in whatever online platform you're using for your video so that it can be shared with judges. Okay, if the privacy setting is set so that it's private, no one else will be able to open it and they won't be able to see it, so they won't be able to score it. Once you have your link on YouTube, you just copy that link directly into the place that it says to in your registration, and that's how your link is submitted. Requirements. Just like we asked you, it's important that you begin your video or very close to the start. You want to make sure you're introducing yourself and your teammate, if you have one, the name of your school, your grade, and your teammate's grade, and the name of your invention. And you want to make sure that you say those loud and clear so that it's very clear who you are and what you're presenting, what you're going to be talking about. Some other things that you want to make sure that you talk about, and these are all on the video scoring score sheet, are how you thought of the idea and why did you invent it, how you designed it and how it works, what materials you used, and if you know that you only used a cardboard cereal box as a model, but if you had access to metal or to wood or to some other material that you would use if you were to really make this a real operating invention, you can talk about those materials too, and kind of what you used in your model versus what you would want to use if it were really produced to be sold or to be used. What challenges did you face? This is a really big one, and one that judges really look for is they want to see what areas gave you trouble. How did you work through that? Did you have to do some redesigns? Did you do any testing? What happened the first time you tested your invention? Did it work? Did it work exactly the way you thought it would? What did you learn from that? What changes did you make? How many times, did you do 2, 3, 4, 5 different versions? So they want to hear a little bit about that journey, about that path. I know it might have been frustrating at times and you wanted to rip your hair out, but that's kind of part of the process, and that's how you improve and make your design better. And I know many of you went through that process. And then again, what changes did you make and why did you make those changes? And did those changes work out, or did you end up kind of going back to something you'd already done? I know that Sarah made a really great video for you all in preparation for the regional event that we still have available, but just about kind of what to think about when you are doing your film. And again, all of your videos that you've presented for regional meet these standards. They were well done, so you're welcome to submit those as they are. But just a couple of tips. You want to practice. Lighting, you see this picture here is not a good one. Sarah used as an example, and she was standing in front of a window, so the white light kind of like washed her out and you can't really see her face. You want to eliminate distractions. I know in the videos that we've been doing for school at our house, the dog likes to kind of video bomb our videos. So you want to make sure that maybe you're eliminating some distractions. If the dog is part of your presentation though, because maybe you're doing a product that involves a pet or another family member or something else, then that's fine too. But you might want to just kind of eliminate distractions, find a quiet place before you video. Speak loudly and slowly and clearly so that judges can understand you. Because video sometimes, things are a little distant, can be a little garbled. So if you can speak loudly and clearly and slowly, that's going to make your presentation a little bit easier to hear and follow. You'll save your video to YouTube or an online platform and save the link unlisted or public so that it can be seen. And the last thing is, don't be nervous. Show your excitement. Be passionate. This is why you did it. I know you really had a good time. I know you did this for a reason that's really important to you. So don't be afraid to share that. And remember, you're the expert. You designed this thing, whatever it is. And we have all sorts of types of invention among this group. And nobody else knows more about it than you. So you should feel confident. No matter who the judges are, who you're presenting to, you know more because it's yours. So be really confident because you are the expert right now. Do we have any questions before I move on about videos specifically?
I'm mostly answering them in the chat.
Okay.
Folks have been asking if they can use the same video as regionals, and yes. I will say, we know that there are a few people whose videos ran over the 6 minutes, And know that the judges aren't required to watch anything over 6 minutes. So if your video did run longer, you may want to consider filming it again.
Correct. The other thing I would say, again, all of your videos meet the requirements. They were all fairly strong. If you've made a change or you want to make a change to your invention, then you might want to redo your video to share what that change is. That's okay. You are allowed to make changes up until May 27th and the registration deadline. You could always do another video and see how it goes and compare the two and see if you like a new one better or not. But you should feel confident that what you have is sufficient. It's more than sufficient. And you should be proud of submitting what you have. You don't need to do a new one. But if you'd like to do a new one because you think you want to change something or you think you can improve upon it, go for it. And so unfortunately, I don't have a yes or no answer to that question. It's really your gut feeling, and you just want to present your very best work, and you know what that is.
That the other question pertains to judging, and I'll ask it at the end.
Okay. So I'm going to move on just a little bit. So we talked a little bit earlier, and this is where things get a little bit different than some of the U.S. national competitions in the past. So for those of you who participated maybe last year or the year before, this is a little bit different because of the virtual competition this year and the changes that they had to make. Optional this year, there are a few optional items. Your display board is optional. You can submit your display board to be reviewed and judged or not. And also your invention logbook is optional. You can submit that or not. The display board will be judged by a separate group of judges completely independently of your video, okay, for a different set of awards. So there's no advantage or disadvantage to submitting your display board or not. It's just if you want to be entered in that part of the competition and be eligible for a different set of awards, go for it and certainly submit. It's your choice, but you don't have to. And if you don't have a display board because it was left at school or something happened to it, then it's fine to not have that, and you're just not entered into the display board part of the competition, and that's totally fine. And the same thing is for your invention logbook. The invention logbook will be judged completely separately from display boards and separately from videos. It will be kind of its own little category where a separate set of judges will come through and review all of those who submitted invention logs and judge them just based on the invention log, not included along with the video and or display board. Okay, so these are really your choices. If you're on a team, you want to meet with your, have a phone call or somehow chat with your teammate and decide, do we want to do the display board? Do we want to submit our invention log? Okay, and you make that decision as a team, and then you can decide whether you want to do that or not. So the video and prototype are required. The display board and the invention log are optional and separate.
So questions, how should I share my logbook?
I'm going on to that next. You guys are way ahead of me. I love your quick thinking. So hang on tight. I think I'm going to talk about display boards and then invention logbooks.
And is there a limit for the number of photos?
No.
Okay.
But be mindful. There are over 500 inventors in this competition. So, you don't want to bombard a judge with 100 photos of your invention. I know you're proud of it, but remember that judge has to judge a lot of other students. And so you want to make sure that you're being kind of respectful. You don't want them to get tired of your invention. So I would say definitely, I think 5 is a good number. That's what we use for regional. If you need to do a few more to show different aspects, that's fine, but I would really limit it, because you want to be respectful and really show what you need to show. That's the best way to present. Okay, so the display board, again, it's optional. Here's an example of a display board, and you see there's a model as well and a prototype there. Now, they're going to take it on your word that that your display board meets the requirements. These are the requirements that we had if we had a real live in-person competition. It's a standard display board size, though, the 48 inches wide, which is if you use one of those tri-fold, like the one you see here that kind of folds in on the side, that the middle part is 24 inches long, and then each side panel is about 12 inches long. Okay, there's no way for them to measure that, but we hope that you're being honest and fair and that that's what you're showing.
Could you mean wide, 24 inches wide?
Sorry, is that what I said? What did I say?
You said.
Did I say hi?
Hi, yeah.
I'm sorry, thank you. This is why Sarah's here, because she keeps me on my toes and makes sure that I don't make silly mistakes like that. Yes, we're talking the width, 24 inches wide across, and then the two panels, okay? The video must include the inventor's name. All right. I mean, sorry. See, now I'm all messed up. Okay. The display board must include your name and your teammate's name, the name of the invention, the grade, your school state, and your patent status. That's a little bit different than what we had for the regional event, because we didn't require a patent status, but there's instructions and information on the patent status in the Invention Convention Worldwide website and on the registration. Really, most of you will put none unless you've started the process of getting a patent. And I'm not sure for any of you if that is your, I don't think if any of you have really started that process, not that I'm aware of, but if you have, you want to be able to make sure that you say kind of what part of the process you're in. Okay, and then there is a place on the registration that you'll see there'll be a prompt to submit a photo of your display if you're doing your display board. And again, I'll be sharing the display board criteria and what the judges are using for their score sheets. So you can see kind of what aspects they've been asked to look at and what they'll be scoring on and how many points you get for different parts of it. Okay, and the inventor's logbook, again, it's optional and separate. There is no maximum page limit to what you submit, but again, be mindful of what the judges really need to see and what pages may not be as necessary, because you don't need to upload and scan an entire notebook. If you use the Young Inventor Journal, I've listed some of the pages that are important, such as the first page that has your name and your invention name, your school name and your grade. In section 3, that's the section called My Invention Journal. All of those pages might be important because they really kind of show your invention process and all the things you did. And then there were some other activities throughout the Invention Journal, but you want to make sure that things that are important to share, if you have them, would be your statement of originality. Any research that you did to see if your invention had been made before, if it already exists. And if it does exist, how your design is different than what's already out there. Diagrams, any pictures you have of different parts or kind of your designs along the way, those are important things to share. How you came up with your idea and even kind of nailed down the problem, you identified the problem you wanted to solve. That brainstorming process is a good page or pages to include as well. We talked about any research you did on any aspect. Those are good pages to include, as well as your invention materials worksheet. So if you kept track of the supplies you use, the cost of those supplies, where you got those supplies, how you use those supplies, or even if your model is a non-working model made out of recycled products, but that you had around the house, but if you were to make your make something into like a vehicle, what types of supplies would you, real life supplies would you use for the tires instead of the lids of jars, you could share those pages too. Those are really important pages that you'd want to share. There may be some other pages that aren't as important that you don't need to take the time to upload and scan. And certainly if you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at another time if there's something you're really not sure about. But think about, if you were a judge, what would you really need to know to get an idea of the process and what you went through as the inventor? Okay, and again, I'll be sharing the rubric with you so you can see what judges are using to score. The way you'll submit your logbook, there are a couple of different ways. You could take pictures with your phone and scan them into PDF. There are scanner apps for free that you can download onto your phone, like Adobe Scan, which is on both Apple systems and Android. Then you save those as a PDF and you can upload the PDF into registration. You could use a scanner if you have access to one at home through a printer or through your computer. Again, save it as a PDF and upload it into registration. And then you can also use Google Classroom. You can scan using a printer, copier, save as PDF files, and create a link to your document, and then upload the registration using the link. And there's a paperwork menu item in registration that allows you, if you're going to use Google Classroom as your kind of tool to upload.
And Tina, there is a function in the notes of Apple products, iPhones, iPads. If you're in your notes and you press the camera, it'll say scan document as an option.
Okay, great. So a couple of different methods based on the tools that you may have available to you in order to scan and upload. I do recommend that you try to scan if you can combine, so that you combine your different pages all into one PDF. That does make it easier so that nothing gets lost or dropped or doesn't make it into the submission somehow. That can sometimes be easier for everyone. Also, when you're saving files, make sure you save them like with your name, your first name, last name, or a first initial, last name, and your invention name, so that way if anything happens, it's easy to connect back and figure out who it belongs to.
Right. And know that those PDF combination applications sometimes have a fee associated with that. So don't feel like you have to combine everything.
Correct.
We don't want you all to incur any expenses because of this.
We've tried to, and I know Invention Convention Worldwide has also tried to make sure that everything is free and accessible and easy for everyone to do at home, because they know that you are at home and may not have access to certain resources. And again, if you're having questions about this, please reach out to us and we'll see what we can do to help you. But also remember that the logbook is optional. The display board is optional. All right, so do we have any questions about the logbook or the display board that I haven't answered yet?
So far, you've gotten them all.
Okay. So I'm going to move on quickly to teams. I know we've talked a little bit about teams and their registration, but just to go over a few things about the team again. One team member may present the project in the video on behalf of the team, or both can be in the video. Each team member will register separately and independently from each other. So there'll be 2 different registrations for the 2 team members. And each team member will submit the same video. So you'll each have to submit a video. If you decide as a team that you would like to enter the display board competition and or the invention log competition, you can do that, but you only need to submit one for the team. Both team members don't need to do that. All team members should upload a photo of themselves and their name, and that would be for the purposes of the award ceremony. And you do that in your registration. And the rules for the teams are the same as those for individuals. Okay, so, and teams take part in the same judging process. So teams compete against individuals and vice versa. And the rubrics and the scoring sheets used by judges are the same for teams as they are for individuals. Okay, and just so I say this, and this is for everyone, each student can enter only one entry into the Invention Convention U.S. Nationals. No student can participate in both a team and an individual competition. Okay, and I don't think that that is for any of you. We kept that same rule exists at our regional level, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood that and knew that, and know that other people who are competing from around the world have that same rule as well. So it's one invention per inventor for the entire competition. Okay.
No question.
Great.
So far.
So like I said, a lot of information is also on the Invention Convention U.S. Nationals website. The website is here, and I'm going to exit out of my display for a minute, and I'm just going to show you, and you can Google, oops, go away, so I can click, there we go. But if you go on to inventionconvention.org, this is the home page, and you can scroll down right here to these green boxes, and you can click on the button, the tab for nationals. And this is where you will find the rules, information, other things. So this was our group last year. I don't know if I can find Northern New England, but we're in there somewhere in that big group of people. But that was last year at the Henry Ford Museum. Okay, so there's links here, frequently asked questions. So these are kind of questions that people tend to have that they answer. We've gone over a lot of them here today, but you can always refer back to that. The rules of the competition are here if you have any questions about the rules. And the awards, the types of awards that are given, and the sponsors of those awards. If you have questions specifically about the video and the guidelines, again, they're very similar. They match what we did for our regional, but those are here for you. Same with the invention log and the policy about the log. And then here are the judging criteria. So the logbook judging criteria, if we click on that, my computer's thinking. But this, you can download and print, or you can just read it online. But this tells you how the judges are going to be scoring. They're looking at your invention process and how that's recorded in your logbook, and you get a possible 0 to 4 points for that. They'll also look at your research and how you documented your work. And again, you'll get a score of 0 to 4 points. Okay, and their analysis, kind of, you know, how you looked at your design, the benefits, the consequences, both in terms of if it has environmental impact or social impact, or how marketable, you know, how well would your product sell, your invention sell, if it were to go into a store somewhere on Amazon. You know, do the judges feel like it's got a lot of market value, like people would need it and want it and pay for it? So, and that they'll score 0 to 2 points. So this is how the rubric works, and this is exactly what judges get. And they look at these things, and they'll judge each of you and your invention logbooks on these items. So it's fair for everyone, and everyone can see. So you can look at this and feel, you can maybe get a sense of, how do I think my logbook shares my invention process? Okay, and then the same thing is for the display board, right? It's the same kind of format and formula. They're looking at the content, and they even kind of describe what makes it kind of minimal to average and what makes an above average to excellent display board, with what it contains and what's on it. And kind of its visual appeal is another category that they'll look at. You know, is it neat? Is it easy to read? Does it use good colors? Does it show designs clearly? That sort of thing. And then finally, the rubric, and I wish they had put kind of video or project rubric, but the rubric is how they're going to be scoring your video and prototype. So again, these are all here for you. They're public to see. Everyone can see them. So they're very fair and very transparent. But this is exactly what the different areas they're going to be looking at and how they're going to be scoring you so that you know exactly what they're looking for. And again, if you want to kind of take this and look at your video and see how you feel about your video, or you may realize, ooh, I didn't really talk about that as well as I could have, you may want to redo part of your video. So that may help you make that decision of whether you stick with the same video or you do a new one.
And on this rubric, Tina, Griffin has been very patient, waiting for me to ask a question about the rubric. So judging, we call it judging criteria. They're calling it the rubric, Griffin. So hopefully you know that this is the page that you're looking for and asking questions about. The question is, in regionals, was the final result award based solely on rubric rating, or did judge opinions have fair impact as well? And do you know which one applies to nationals? So maybe just talking about nationals with this.
Just for nationals, they really go by the scoring rubric. You know, the judges go through training. It's really hard, you know, when you're judging, it's hard, but this is a way to keep judging objective so that all judges are looking at the same sorts of things. And they have guidelines to help them with what they're doing. And our judges did similar things. That's why people at all different types of competitions and teachers, when they're grading your projects in school and grading tests, also often use a rubric to help them determine your grade on a particular assignment or project in school. So rubrics are used a lot in all aspects of kind of the world and life and work in school. So judges are really going by the score of the rubric. That determines a lot. Now, of course, if there's a tie, you know, 2 inventors got 87 points out of 90, then sometimes they might need to discuss kind of strengths and things like that of different projects. But scores and the rubric tend to go pretty far. Are there other questions? So that really ends my presentation. It is really time for the Q&A at this point, but I wanted to make sure everyone knew where to access that online. And again, that's inventionconvention.org. You can go to the Nationals tab, and then that's where you'll find all of these things.
So have a question.
Sure.
From Sylvia and Leo. What would the Adaptive Technology Award fall into? What category?
I'm not sure, again, because unfortunately, I don't have access to see the entire registration. So if you want, we can talk about that offline. If you can give me a list of what they've asked you, it could be health and wellness, medical. We can look at that together if you have trouble, but they've given a list of categories and you self-select.
We've got a lot of thank yous for putting this together.
Good.
So to clarify, from Griffin, nationals will use the rubric as the sole judging method and use opinions for breaking ties.
As far as I know, Griffin, yes. I've taken part in the judges training for the nationals because I just, I wanted to see what they were doing and learn, it's always good to know. But that is my understanding. I was not led to believe in any other way.
One of our teachers is asking, do students self-select one category or multiple categories?
Self-select one category. I think there's only the choice to do one category.
Okay. A lot more.
And I just want to make clear, and this is stated in the rules, that Invention Convention U.S. national staff and judges reserve the right to change and or reconfigure awards categories. So I'm stating that that's a statement in the rules as well.
Someone's asking, will we be shipped medals? Yes, you will be.
Yes. So, so a couple things regarding that. So for the regional awards, we will be mailing for your regional competition certificates. If you ordered the T-shirt, we'll send you your T-shirt and medals, and any other awards that you may have won. Many of you did. That's why you're here. We'll be sending all of that to you, but it's going to take us a few weeks. It's a lot to coordinate. All of our staff is separated. And so just kind of bringing that all together, and also some of our vendors where we get awards and T-shirts and the supplies, you know, those people have also had to shift their working operations, and things just take a little bit longer right now. But we hope that in the coming, you know, a couple of weeks, we'll be getting that out there. We'll give you a heads up when they're coming. But they are coming, but it's probably going to take us at least 2 to 3 weeks to get those to you. It's just a process. At the U.S. National, you will also get things mailed directly to you at some point. I don't know their timeline for doing that, but you will also get certificates, awards, T-shirts, some other cool swag and things that sponsors and that the Henry Ford and that Invention Convention Worldwide have put together for you to celebrate you, and to give you kind of souvenirs and things to remember this experience and to honor you, right, and recognize you so that you can share that in your own portfolios and resumes. That will be given to you too. I don't know their timeline on that either, but it will be direct mailed. So.
And I'm just typing in the chat that we appreciate everyone's patience, because a lot of places where we have these things printed closed right as we were going to order them. So we're catching up with them.
Yeah. And a lot of them have shifted, right? A lot of some of the people that we work with have moved their operations to help with what's going on and to support communities and workers around us. And so, you know, our jobs may not be priority to them right now, and that's okay. So we're just working with everybody. Everybody is super supportive of us and of you all, particularly because they know that time and effort you've put in. So we'll get those things out to you as soon as we can.
And that's all that we have right now for questions.
Okay, so I'm going to officially end the session. I really, again, so proud of you. Congratulations for making it to the U.S. Nationals and to representing our region. I know you all are going to do a fantastic job. I'm honored and proud to be part of this region and to be with you and to say, these are our students and look what they've done. I know you all are just going to rock it on the national stage. Our region always does. Don't be nervous, be excited. You're the expert. If you have specific questions or if things come up in the next week as you're getting your materials together, or you want to talk about something more specifically, I'm here. So just give me an email anytime, and we'll work together to make sure that that we get your questions answered. But we're really excited, and thanks again for spending this afternoon. And now I want you all to go outside and play. And I give you permission to do that. All right.